everybody, and welcome to our webinar, Work Smarter with SEO, Time-Saving Tips to Drive More Sales. Let's meet our host for the day. My name is Katie, and I'm an SEO specialist here at Volusion. I've been working in online marketing for about 3 years, and when I'm not at work, I enjoy spending outside and doing yoga, even though I can't touch my toes.
And my name is Adrienne, and I'm an SEO team lead. I've been with Volusion for about 2 years now, and in my free time, I love to quilt and hang out with my dog and sing pretty terrible karaoke. Both Katie and I work as a part of a team of 17 SEOs here on the Volusion Marketing Services team, and our department is dedicated to helping Volusion merchants be more successful, and we produce webinars as part of that effort. So today we're going to go through the most important SEO ranking factors for your site and then a few time-saving strategies that you can use to bring more traffic to your website and more revenue to your business.
So for today's agenda, first we're going to cover some on-page SEO factors and how they'll apply to your e-commerce website. Then we'll go over some of the main components of off-page SEO and how you can use them to boost your site's overall success. We'll also be going through some violations you want to make sure you avoid in your SEO work. And finally, we're going to offer you some possible SEO timelines. So time each week that you can work on your SEO, giving specific breakdowns of what exactly you can do with the limited number of hours per week.
Right, we actually have 2 SEO plans. So we've got one for 2 hours per week and another one for 5 hours per week, and these can be adjusted to fit whatever you need. Before we go on, let's go ahead and quickly review the main players in the SEO process. And as we all know, SEO means search engine optimization, and it focuses on influencing the organic rankings of search engines. Search engines and users are the main players here, and we need to cater to both of them in order to be successful. So SEO tactics that we use help provide users with relevant results, and they also help search engines find those results. And it's all about building a page's trust, relevancy, and authority, something we like to call the SEO Trinity. You really need to be in the middle of all 3 of those concepts to be successful.
Yeah, you want to find that sweet spot. So don't forget to send in any of the questions you might have as we go through, and we'll get to them all at the end. For those of you who are tweeting out there, we've also got a hashtag. It's hashtag SEO tips. So please tag away. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. So on-page SEO refers to optimizing the content that makes up individual pages of a website to earn more relevant traffic from search engines. On-page SEO can be classified into 2 different categories. The first is the SEO variables that are behind the scenes of a page. And then we've got the second, the content that actually appears on the page itself.
There's 2 main components of these variables that we in the SEO world are most interested in. So the first one is called the title tag. A title tag is the heading text of search engine results, and it's made up of a string of keywords that tell both users and search engines what a page is about. So on the screen here is an example.
Yeah, it's that blue clickable text at the top.
Exactly. So this is from ModCloth, and you can see that they're using very general keywords for their homepage, and that's going to help them cast as wide a net as possible because your homepage is where most people are going to be entering your website, of course. So ModCloth is using terms like unique and cute along with clothes, accessories, and decor, and that covers all of their offerings in a few broad key terms. Title tags are probably the single most important on-page SEO factor, so it's essential to make sure it's optimized with keywords that are specific to that page. If you want to learn more about selecting keywords, we suggest thinking about what it is users might be searching for that should lead them there. And then you can also take a look at keywords your competitors are using if you need to get some inspiration.
So the second variable of on-page SEO is called the meta description. Meta descriptions can be thought of as like an elevator pitch for your page. They're usually about a couple sentences long. As you can see in the example here for REI camping and hiking gear, this text appears just below the title tags in the search engine results. And ideally, it includes a call to action. Here, that call to action is asking users to ramp up their outdoor adventures by checking out the gear available on the page.
Yeah, that makes me want to ramp up my outdoor adventures.
I know, me too. So the meta description is also a great place to highlight any unique selling points your site might have. In this case, REI is including the fact that they offer some expert advice and the latest gear innovations. The meta description is where you can stand out from the crowd in your search results and make a case for why your page is worth visiting. Again, the title tag and the meta description are not actually visible on your website, but they are the two components that Google uses to create your snippet in search results. The title tag is heavily relied on by search engines to understand what a page is about. So these two tags are really critical.
So in addition to the behind-the-scenes variables of on-page SEO, we also have the content that appears directly on your site. And of course, this is the content that you and your shoppers will actually see on the page. So content describes what it is you want your audience to know, and that might be a general description of your business on your homepage, or maybe details about a specific product on a product page. Ideally, this content should be around 150 to 250 words with keywords woven throughout to be picked up by the search engines. This example here on the screen is from Target, and you can see it's not very pretty, but it's really getting the point across, and it's easy to understand for both users and search engines.
Yeah, who even scrolls down that far anyway?
Right. But even a big brand like Target knows the value and importance of on-page content.
So landing pages are kind of the main gateways through which users will enter your site. It's these pages we suggest focusing on first for SEO, as this is how most of your traffic is going to come to your site and get their first impressions. It only takes between 10 and 20 seconds for most users to decide if they're interested in a given page. So where they come to first is really crucial in getting them to stay. This is why it's so important to make sure your title tags and your meta descriptions are spot on, and that the content is captivating your audience from their very first glance. Here on the screen you can see an example of a landing page for the home decor and furniture store Wayfair. This page is where traffic would most likely land if they were looking for floor lamps. The page shows Wayfair's full collection of floor lamps and also includes a filter to further narrow users' search based on price, style, and some other distinguishing factors.
Another important part of the content on your page is an H1 tag. So the H1 tag acts as a headline for your page. It's usually a few words, draws the reader in, and gives search engines a better understanding of what queries the page is relevant for. So on your screen here is an H1 tag from Dick's Sporting Goods, and it says football gear and equipment, and that's exactly what the page is about. Very straightforward. You can easily add H1s by coding it into the content section of the page. We actually have a blog post that goes more in depth on how to use H1s on your own site, so check that out if you want to learn more. And just as a reminder, we're going to be sending these slides out later, so you'll be able to click that link.
So you want to make sure the content on your pages is encouraging users to take action, and that action is, of course, making a purchase. And you want to make sure users are then able to easily navigate from one page to another where they can take that action. In the example you can see here for dog stuff, users are invited to shop by their favorite breed with that big red button that's in the middle of the page. Once they click on this text, they'll likely be taken to a page where they can shop through specific products and also purchase those products.
Right, everything comes down to funneling people into that purchase transaction. So let's take a look at SEO specifics for the actual product pages of your site. Product pages like the one here from Keurig are where those coveted conversions actually happen, so you definitely want to make sure you're driving your audience toward making a purchase.
So a large part of driving conversions is having product descriptions that are answering your shoppers' questions and taking away any doubts they might have about buying that product. We know you might have quite a few products, but including appropriately detailed descriptions on each page is really important. The thing is that search engines aren't actually human, so they can't read images the way a human might.
Right, you kind of have to pretend that search engines are blind.
Exactly. So they're relying on the words themselves. A gorgeous photo of your top-selling product is great for your human audience, which, of course, is going to increase the likelihood of getting those purchases made. However, search engines won't actually see what it is that you're selling, which means they won't bring up your page in search results unless you've got that optimized description to go along with the photo, as well as the title tag and meta description, of course.
Of course.
So with this in mind, be sure that you're creating your own unique product descriptions. This might be a long-winded explanation to describe what your product is. As you can see with the Keurig brewer here, their product description includes 3 paragraphs of text. They've also got a list of the brewer's key features, another list of what's included, and frequently asked questions for user reference.
On the other hand, you might just want a shorter bulleted list of points with the features products like this one for Kendra Scott. This includes just a couple sentences and some bullet points about the product, but with either option, make sure you remove any barriers to converting in the description. So make that purchase button easy to find, like the one here is yellow, so it really stands out and it says add to bags, really easy to find.
Yeah, very easy to spot on the page.
And make sure you're clearly addressing any concerns that are going to come up about your product, just like how Keurig had in their FAQs. You can't assume that users are going to ask, and if you leave it up to them, they're usually going to find it's easier just to look somewhere else. Along the same line, using the manufacturer's product descriptions is only going to penalize your site for duplicate content. Google's algorithms are getting better and better at determining what duplicate content looks like, so copying these descriptions, it's really not worth the time that you're going to save.
By the way, I do really like that necklace.
I know, right?
So when possible, try to also include some product reviews on your product pages. Most buyers are actually looking for reviews before they make online purchases, so you want to make sure you're giving them all the information they might need to buy. Reviews are unique, they're also genuine, and they're free, so make sure you take advantage. They also often include natural language that describes the product, which will enhance your keyword relevancy.
So let's look at another aspect of on-page SEO, which is user experience. In addition to all the content factors that we've been talking about, the experience that users have on your website is a huge piece of the SEO pie. And search engines are really concerned with providing their users a good experience, so you should be concerned with the same thing.
That's exactly right. So there are lots of factors that go into user experience and that play a role in your site's overall organic search visibility. One of these factors is having a mobile-friendly website. 50% of all searches today are on mobile devices. In Q3 of 2015, 15% of all online orders were made on mobile phones. Online shoppers are becoming more and more confident with mobile purchasing, and this trend is only getting stronger. So you want to make sure that your site is optimized for any screen size it may come across. Responsive sites will adapt to whatever screen size users are viewing it from, so this is a highly preferred option. You may have experienced before viewing a website on your phone and having to zoom out all the way to see the navigation bar or other important information on the page.
Yeah, I hate when that happens.
I know. So this process puts a barrier between the user and the possibility of them making a purchase. In the example you can see on the screen now for American Blanket Company, you'll notice that whatever screen size a viewer is looking at it from, all the important information is there and easily accessible to them.
And it all looks like the same website. It's just seamless.
Exactly.
Another big factor for user experience is having a really clear and logical navigation structure. Users are better able to process what they're seeing if it makes sense, and the architecture of a site plays a huge role in this. And along those same lines, search engine bots will be able to crawl your site more easily and index your pages if your site has a clear and easy-to-use navigation. This Nordstrom example here, they've got some categories for women, men, shoes, handbags. So somebody who's browsing would be able to, click around easily, but if they're also looking for a specific product, they can get there with no issues. You're also going to increase your chances of getting site links included with your site in the results pages, and that means more exposure and more opportunities for users to click directly to the pages that they're most interested in.
So on that note, we want to say if your site has a shop category and you have all your categories and within that all of your products within that shop category, then you probably want to restructure your navigation. You can see an example of this here. The shop tab is in the middle of the top navigation, and it includes all the products that are being sold on the site. You don't want to have a section like this, as you want your users to be able to get to your products in as few clicks as possible.
So this has been a lot of information already, so we're going to have a quick summary and some tips and takeaways. And don't forget, you can send in your questions at any time, and we'll get to them all at the end. So first off, landing pages are some of the most critical on your site, so you need to prioritize your optimization of these first. That probably includes your home page, your main category pages, and even some of the popular products that you might offer. You can break down the work into chunks, or if it helps, just start by optimizing the title tag, meta description, and the H1 tag for those pages. And then once that's done, you can schedule some time to write the content for each page.
So product descriptions will vary depending on your industry and your target audience, but you want to make sure to get your description word count to exceed the number of default words that are on the page. And by default words, we mean the words that are in the navigation, your header, your footer, just whatever is automatically going to be on the page. If your product description exceeds that word count, search engines will then regard the description as having greater importance than that default text, which is what you want because you want traffic to come to your page for the product itself.
For usability, a responsive site is key, and luckily, Volusion offers a really wide range of responsive templates, including some free ones, so make sure you take a look. That'll be sent out again when we send the slides out later. And lastly, make sure that your site has a really logical navigation structure, so both users and search engines can easily get to where you want them to be.
So now that we've learned about some on-page SEO tactics, let's turn over to off-page. Off-page SEO takes a little bit more planning and energy, but it's definitely worth the effort. It's the cornerstone of how search engines measure your website's authority.
And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's any SEO strategy that occurs off of your website. This is going to include a wide variety of activities, and we're only going to be able to hit important ones today, but please keep in mind any off-page activity will help your on-page efforts.
So one of the most important concepts for off-page SEO is developing your own content strategy. A content strategy involves any type of content creation that you'll be doing. This includes the on-page work that we've just discussed. It also covers some other types of content that could be used in several different places, such as blogs, videos, social media posts, maybe creating a resource page for your website. Basically, anything you can think of that you would create is a part of your content strategy. It really affects every aspect of SEO, so taking the time to plan out a content strategy is going to save you a ton of time in the future.
Yeah, if you've already planned out your content strategy for a couple months, you can concentrate on other off-page marketing tactics and keep your brand messaging consistent. And creating a content strategy is something that we do for our SEO clients here today, so it's really important.
Definitely. So one of the easiest ways to start is by creating a content calendar. A content calendar should detail all the content you want to produce. Mark on your calendar all the sales you've got coming up, any holidays that are going to affect your business, special events that are happening in your industry, maybe some fun bits of information you can share scattered throughout. Specify if there's any products you want to highlight, maybe share news about your industry. So for example, if you happen to sell sports-related products, you might want to write that March Madness is coming up and maybe you'll be offering some discounts for it. Your content calendar is a living document, so you can add and remove items as you see fit. A content calendar is going to help you save time when you're busy filling orders, but you want to stay on track with your SEO.
And I just want to make this point again, taking care of your content strategy now will set yourself up for success when you start marketing that content and showing customers that you're relevant. And that encourages them to pay attention to your business.
Definitely. So let's talk about social media. Social media is a natural segue between on and off page SEO. It's easy to repurpose what you've already done on your website using social media to build your off-page presence. A well-crafted content calendar is a great way to plan out your social media activities in advance. As a business owner, you're able to control your messaging and your engagement on whatever social media platform you're on in order to establish your brand. The platforms you choose to engage on should depend, of course, on where your customers are. You don't want to spend time somewhere that people interested in your products won't see you.
So let's talk a little bit more about how to choose your platforms. Like Katie said, the first thing you should ask yourself is, where are my customers? But also check out where your competitors are spending their time. And then more importantly, look at how they're doing it. Maybe they're posting on Facebook, but nobody is doing any likes or shares, anything like that. Or maybe on the other hand, they have a Pinterest account and has a ton more followers than you expected. Take notes on whatever your competitors are doing so that you can stand out from them.
So once you've chosen your platforms, you want to figure out how are you going to get noticed. This could be through weekly tip series, maybe shared blog posts, events you're holding. You can hold contests or giveaways to drum up interest and excitement about your products. Hold contests based on the time of year, current holidays that are around then, or maybe boosting sales during your slow seasons. Think of what will get people talking about your products. And make sure you keep in mind, your social media posts should not focus just on your business and your products. You want to talk about fun events in your area, share articles from relevant sources. Ask your customers questions too. On the page here, you're looking at ThinkGeek's Facebook page. This page is a really good example of a company that's using their social media not only to promote their business, they keep people interested in coming back through fun, engaging posts that promote geek culture.
Right. And also make sure that you're engaging with your customers on your social media platforms. So if somebody is asking a question, answer it quickly. And then if somebody has a complaint, make sure you address it as best you can. Other customers will be impressed that you publicly address any issues that somebody's having, and that creates more buying confidence and brand trust.
Definitely.
So on the screen here, this is an example. I wrote a review for one of my favorite spots in Austin. And the review itself was 5 stars, but I had a small complaint at the bottom about the place being too crowded. So later, I was really surprised to find that the owner had written a response to me, which was super surprising because it was already 5 stars. Why would you write a response to somebody who had a good time? But he thanked me for my review and addressed my complaint, letting me know they're going to add more seating. This is just a perfect example of how to speak to your customers. I wasn't expecting a response, but the owner took the time out of his day to write me a reply, and you can bet I'm going to be back because of it.
So let's move on to another off-page tactic, video optimization. Videos are the perfect way to show off your product and to make your brand more accessible. Think about it, YouTube is also a search engine. Use the same concept for on-page content when you make your videos. Do your customers want a tutorial, or maybe they want to see what your products look like in action? Finding out what your customers want will ensure that you have a successful video series. Just do a little research beforehand so you're not competing with the viral video. The best way to ensure your videos get the most online visibility is by filling out all the sections that YouTube has. So give your video a catchy title, write a great description. You want to make sure you grab your viewers' attention within the first 10 seconds.
And try to keep their attention. You guys are awake, right?
That's right. So include a call to action in the description, or maybe even in the video itself. You want to convince people to visit your store. Keep in mind, you only get a couple sentences in that description before it cuts off to the show more text. You can see that at the bottom of the page here on the screenshot.
Yeah, it's a little hard to see, but it's at the very bottom of that box.
Right. So make sure your most enticing information is first in that description so you don't get the rest cut off.
Now, while you want to make sure you do everything you can to get your video visible on YouTube itself, embedding the video on your website will also help increase your own users' time on the site. Incorporating videos into your landing pages and then transcribing them underneath is also a great way to get additional keywords into your web copy. So when used correctly, videos can get people talking about you and might inspire other people to make their own videos or even write reviews of your products.
That's right. So let's start with our new section, link building. This is one of the most important things you can work on. It's also one of the hardest to control. The best way to earn links from other websites is by having a strong content strategy that people want to share with their followers. You see how everything kind of revolves around great content?
But how do you create linkable content? Like we've been saying a lot during this webinar, you need to answer the questions that your customers have. So for example, let's say that you sell shoes and a very popular brand has a really unique sizing system. Like, don't get me started on those designer shoes. So you're going to want to write a blog post about how to measure and size yourself to find the right pair of shoes. So you're hitting two birds with one stone. This lets you interact with your customers and help them learn more about your products. And it's also solving a problem for them, which means people might be inclined to share it with other people who are having the same problem. We're also removing one of those barriers to conversions that we were talking about, and you might even experience less returns on those types of products.
So your content should tell a story if possible, which will help capture your customers' attention and connect with them on a personal level. Building up that emotional connection between your business and your customers can lead to more customer loyalty and also more profits. Put a face on your brand so people know that you're a real person. It's also important to make sure you're addressing the needs of your customers through each part of their process, whether they're in their preliminary research stage or if they have an item in their shopping cart.
Along those same lines, attending conferences and trade shows is also going to lend you more credibility and authority, and that makes it more likely people will link to you and talk about your products. So, for example, think about how you like to shop. Are you more likely to buy from somebody who doesn't know anything about their own products, or are you going to buy from somebody who's the expert? So you need to be the expert and give your customers more buying confidence in you.
So one of my favorite ways to get links is asking influential people in the industry to review some products. You might be wondering how you find those influential people, and that's a great question. Maybe they're people who are running active blogs in your industry. This includes video blogs. And maybe those who have a large following on different social media platforms. If your products are related to those influential people's interests, then the people who follow them are most likely interested in those same things too. What better way to spread your brand than by talking to the people who are going to enjoy your products the most?
So once you've identified who these people are, you're going to need to get them to write about your products. First, reach out and see if they're even willing to write a review or a recorded video of themselves using those products, and if they are, send them a sample, and maybe even consider offering a discount to their followers. That's usually a really big confidence booster.
Mm-hmm.
You might think this type of thing only works for fashion and beauty industries, but there are influential bloggers and brand ambassadors for almost everything.
Yeah, I'm working on this for a client who sells chocolate right now.
Yeah. Once you've reached out and received a review, don't forget, keep up with communication and network with these influential people. It's going to keep your brand fresh in their minds and establish you as a credible source of information and expertise. So on your screen here, this is Sharon, the makeup artist, who wrote a review for MAC Cosmetics. She's done several similar posts in the past, and the comments section is just full of people who are interested in the same things, and that includes women who are using makeup themselves and even other makeup artists. So these are people who are just really ready to purchase.
So if you've got a brick and mortar, there are tons of possibilities for earning links and credibility in your own community. You want to make sure you're keeping up to date with any local celebrations that are happening and try to be there when you can. You could also sponsor some fun events, give back to your community in the form of charity, basically get involved any way you can. Your site should have separate pages for each location of your business, and make sure that each of those pages has all the important details like your address, your phone number, directions, a photo of the location. In the example you see on your screen now, this is for Chewy's restaurant, and they're showing the map of the US with a dot of each of their locations. And each of those locations is clickable and will take you to a separate page specifically about that location.
Which is important for us because we like to go to Chewy's.
We do. They have the best queso. So we've gone over a lot of information in this section, and we know it might be a little overwhelming. So here are some of the main takeaways and tips for off-page SEO, so you will save time when you're busy filling orders. Again, don't forget to send in any questions you've got.
So first, really take some time to create a content calendar. The more detailed you make the content calendar, the easier you're going to have it in the future when you're too busy to create brand new ideas from scratch. Go ahead and write out everything you can think of as far into the future as you can. That's going to include those holidays, events, sales, contests, blog posts, maybe even outreach to bloggers, anything that you can think of.
So you might not be sure how to actually start on your content calendar. If this is the case, try writing down just a couple goals you want to achieve in your next quarter. For instance, you could write, get one blogger review, run a Facebook contest, produce a video showcasing a product. From this, you can decide how many blog posts you're going to need to write, what you want to post on social media to build toward that contest, and what kind of outreach you'll need to do to get people talking about your product. Be sure you're giving yourself attainable goals and realistic time frames to complete everything. And don't forget, you want to allow some time each week to actually interact with your customers on social media in addition to your regular posts.
All right, so now we've talked about on-page SEO efforts, and we've also discussed some ideas for getting your off-page on the right track. But there's a few important violations that you need to keep in mind when you're performing all this work, and it's going to save you a ton of pain in the future. Remember, Google penalizes sites that it can tell are trying to manipulate search results, so it's important that you follow these rules.
So first we've got keyword stuffing. Keyword stuffing is when you fill your content with tons of keywords to try and get search engines to bring up your page to the search results. Keyword stuffing actually results in the opposite. The more keywords you stuff in there, the less readable the text is for your users, and it results in a less user-friendly experience. Keyword stuffing actually makes your site appear to be low quality. Keyword stuffing looks extremely suspicious because keyword stuffing is manipulative.
Hey, did y'all notice how many times she said keyword stuffing just now?
Yeah, it was like 6 times there. And it sounded kind of strange, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is also going to come across in your writing. You want to make sure you avoid it for the sake of both search engines and your users. You're much more likely to be returned as a result by search engines if you write in an authoritative, non-spammy voice with some rich content that is actually useful to your site's visitors. Your content should feel natural but also be appropriately descriptive. Stick with about 3 to 5 keywords per page, and you'll be sure to avoid penalties while attracting traffic for your topic.
Another violation we see is sites that pay for links, and this might have worked a long time ago, but nowadays paying for links just makes your site look manipulative and untrustworthy, and it's super easy for search engines to see that's what you're doing. Links should come from other sites that make sense for your industry, and they should be earned and not bought. So if anybody ever offers you hundreds of links for a cheap price, please run far away in the other direction. It's going to cause a disaster for your website.
No cheap links. Okay, so the last thing you want to watch out for is having too little content on your site. And the SEO community calls this thin. Take some time to craft high quality content that thoroughly describes your products and how someone can use them, and really anything a customer might need to know about it before they buy. This will help search engines and site visitors to understand what your products are all about.
Content is everything.
That's right.
Thanks for sticking with us, everybody. We've covered a lot today, so we're going to leave you with some SEO timelines that will help you break down SEO work that you can do in a given amount of time per week. So we've got a plan for those who have 2 hours per week, and another plan for anybody who's lucky enough to have 5 hours per week. And as we mentioned earlier, these plans can be adjusted as your schedule allows, and it's also going to depend on what your site already has and what it needs.
So before we go through these plans, there are a couple things you should already have in place. First off, these SEO timelines assume that you're tracking your site's performance already, whether through Google Analytics or some other type of tracking platform that your site is connected to. If you are not already using Google Analytics, we can't stress enough what an important and useful tool this is. You can see all sorts of data here, from user behavior on your site to where your traffic is coming from to specific details about your revenue.
Yeah, we honestly use Google Analytics on our team every single day. It's such a great tool.
We do, so definitely check that out if you haven't already. You also want to take care of your settings in the admin area of your store. There's actually another webinar we've got that you can watch that goes through the proper Volusion settings for this, and we'll include a link to that webinar when we send out the slides for this one. Lastly, set up your social media profiles with all the blanks filled in, and make sure you include some good descriptions there too.
All right, so let's get started with the timeline for those of you who have 2 hours per week. First, we suggest you spend 1 hour optimizing one page. And remember, we want you to start with those landing pages. So a home page or a main category page, popular products, those are all good options to start with. When you're optimizing this page, make sure you're making a title tag, a meta description, and content with keywords woven in there. For 30 minutes, work on your social media. So that could be creating and scheduling 3 to 5 posts across your platforms, and those platforms might be Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, just wherever your customers are hanging out, that's where you need to be hanging out as well. And again, make sure you're using a variety of posts, so don't just talk about like, oh, here's my awesome product. Like, you also need to throw in some funny memes because people love those, and talk about industry news, things like that. And then also engage with your customers so that they know you're not a robot. And then for 30 minutes, spend some time reaching out. So that might be appropriate networks related to your industry. Maybe there are some sites that you want to link back to your store. Just reach out, research what's out there, and get yourself noticed.
So for anyone who's got 5 hours to spend on SEO every week, we recommend spending 2 hours optimizing 2 pages of your website. So as Adrian just discussed, you would choose the pages, then do the keyword research for each of those pages, and create new title tags, meta descriptions, and some captivating on-page content with those keywords you've selected. Another hour should be spent on social media. You want to create and schedule at least 5 social media posts across all your channels for the week. Make sure you're diversifying what you're posting, as Adrian talked about, and you want to give users some true value in coming to your page, and take this opportunity to really establish yourself as the expert in your industry. Another 30 minutes can be spent reading up on the SEO industry itself. It's really good to get a little know-how in your efforts here, and things are changing all the time in SEO, so try to get an idea of the latest developments and what you can do about them for your own site. Another 30 minutes should be spent reaching out to your fellow industry authorities. Connect on your shared interest and use that connection to help each other. it's most likely that they'll be pretty happy and flattered that you reached out to them. And you can probably learn a lot from each other. And your last hour should be spent on some additional content creation. Post a blog, make a video, take some new photos of your products. You want to get more quality content on your site, whatever it is that makes sense for your industry and your target audience. Just have something new and fresh for users to explore all the time.
So that's all we've got for today, but we want to leave you with one final reminder before we open it up for questions. And that reminder is that the key to successful SEO is that it's ongoing. There's never a point when you're 100% done. And no matter how much time you have, you can fit SEO into your daily schedule. So create a long-term strategy and stick to it. Just make it a part of your routine. It's like brushing your teeth. The thing is that today, SEO is a cost of doing business, whether you're doing it yourself or if you hire somebody else to do it for you. And digital marketing is just too competitive to be able to get by with no SEO work or even just basic SEO. But if you're feeling overwhelmed and you feel like you don't have any time, don't worry, we've got a promotion on our SEO packages for the month of March. So take a look at these awesome deals and please feel free to reach out to us if you want to learn more.
So now we'll open it up for questions. We'll just take a minute to gather some of the questions you've already sent in. So please feel free to continue to send them in if you've got more that you haven't yet. Thanks.
All right, so our first question, a couple people have asked where they can access Google Analytics and where can they learn more. So first you want to go to google.com/analytics and sign up for an analytics account. That's going to give you some code that you can put into your website. If you're feeling like, a little overwhelmed, you don't want to mess with the code on your website, we actually also offer that as a service. We can set up analytics for you. So check that out. And we have a lot of blog posts that go into analytics, how to read it, how to tell what's going on your website. So please check out our online blog for more information for that.
All right, so we've got another question from Hugh, and his question is the landing page the same as the home page? That's a great question, Hugh. The home page is usually going to be your main landing page. This isn't true for every site, but for the vast majority it is. So that's a really good place to start with your SEO work. As you continue to optimize more pages on your site, it'll often be that those top categories you have are the natural secondary landing pages after the home page. It could apply to really popular products you've got. So there's no written rule, it depends on the site. And you can get an idea of what your top landing pages are through Google Analytics. In the reporting section of Analytics, you'll find a landing page breakdown where you can search specific date ranges to see what the highest landing pages were during that time. And that'll be the best place to find out what makes sense on your site to optimize first.
Yeah, just to kind of sum up what Katie is saying is a landing page is wherever a user is going to land on your website. So it might be the home page, or it might be, like we discussed, the example was floor lamps. If somebody is specifically looking for floor lamps, that's where they're going to land.
Right.
So we've got another question from Alicia, and she's asking, how do links from other sites affect SEO? So links from other sites are actually, one of the biggest indicators of SEO success if the links make sense and they're from reputable sites. Like, again, don't pay for links. But it shows that your website is an authority and that other people look to you when they want to answer somebody's question. So essentially, it just makes your site look really authoritative.
Mm-hmm. So here we have another question. Will changing a site's design affect the SEO? That's a really good question. So changing a site's design is kind of a visual change to the website, and that is a largely user experience factor. If someone's able to easily find and navigate through your site and it makes logical sense, it's going to have a huge impact on how many pages people look at once they get to your site, and if they're able to find what it is they're looking for on your site. So your site's design does, through that user experience, affect the SEO and the quality that people are seeing on the site, which is a really important thing that search engines will factor in, and of course users will come back and stay for longer if you've got a good design. So that's a big thing that you want to make sure that you're doing and providing for users.
So Ted's question here is, how similar does content need to be for it to be considered duplicate? Which is a good question, something we wrestle with every day. So long story short is that search engines don't want to see websites that copy other websites, because that's essentially spam. So, manufacturer product descriptions, if you've got thousands of products and you're copying all the manufacturer's descriptions, or if you have the same description on every single product, that's going to be considered duplicate content. But we know that there's only a few ways that you can really describe something. So if it's not that different, it's still going to count as unique content. You just need to make sure that it's not copying a whole bunch of websites, and it's also not copying a whole bunch of pages from your own site.
Right, so kind of along those same lines of duplicate content, we have a question from Miliana, and she's asking, what if my meta descriptions are duplicated 100 times? So again, a lot of these descriptions might be similar for similar products, as Adrienne was saying, but you want to try and change at least, there should be small differences between each of those pages, and you want those to be reflected in your meta description so that each page has its own unique content, and when people see the page come up in the search results, they'll understand exactly what it is they're getting on that page, as opposed to the search result for another page that's similar, but again, not exactly the same. So try to include those unique differentiators in there with your meta descriptions too.
And again, along the same lines, Rick's question is, how do I avoid using manufacturer descriptions? And that's really just sitting down and writing your own unique content. And you can use the manufacturer description as inspiration, of course, but just make sure that it's unique to your website. It's not copying anybody else.
So we got a question, what are H1 tags and where do they go? So H1 tags are going to be kind of the heading for a page, and they're coded into the HTML code of your page. Now, that might sound a little intimidating, but it's actually really easy to put them in there. And the blog post that Adrienne referred to in our webinar will kind of give you an easy breakdown of how exactly that's possible. And these H1s can be made up of just something similar to the product description for product pages or for category pages, just as we showed in the example in the webinar for football gear. Tell people in a few words what the page is about. This is a really high-ranking factor for SEO that search engines look at in deciding what the topic of a page is. So you really want to have an H1 on every page of your website, and it's super simple to add, so just check out that blog post for the specific details on how to put it in.
So Alex just asked, I've heard not to use the meta tag keywords section. Is that true or false? That's definitely true. Search engines have not used the meta tag keywords section for, it's been like 10 years or more. So that's not something where you need to spend your time. And even your competitors can go on there and see what keywords you're using if you're using that section. So I would avoid that, and your time is better spent elsewhere.
So we just got a question from Becky. She said, is it a good idea to frequently revamp your product descriptions with new, fresh information, or once you write something unique, should you leave it alone? Ideally, you actually would want to update product descriptions after a while. It's not a huge priority because there's often other measures you can take, but in reality, every piece of content on your site should be updated every so often to constantly give people a new, unique view or understanding of what the page is about, and often there will be industry changes or some kind of change to what's happening with that content. So you want to definitely make sure you're reflecting those changes with what you've got listed on your site.
And we're talking every few years. I mean, this is not
Right.
something that you need to update like once a month. That's just way too much work. It's more important to just get your product descriptions unique, and then you can work on other ways of developing content like blog posts, as we were talking about earlier, or maybe some videos. So just get those product descriptions unique, and then you can leave those for a while.
Right, exactly.
So Sunil's question here is, I started my store 2 weeks ago and I have no page rank. Should I be concerned? So the answer to that is no, you should not be concerned. One of the things that search engines look for is how long a website has been around, because there are a lot of spammy websites out there that they just have the domain for like a month or even up to a year, and then they just drop it. So, domain age can be an indication of a site that's been around for a while. It has a lot more authority. So if you've started your store 2 weeks ago and you're not seeing a whole lot of traffic, that's okay. Just get your SEO off on the right foot, and then spend some time on some other marketing tactics to get people talking about your website. With your SEO already in place, it's going to just build on itself and it'll be awesome. So don't be concerned. It's only been 2 weeks. I mean, we would, want to look at it over the course of a couple months and see if it's growing in that way.
Right. And page rank is only one of so many different factors to look at. So don't put all your eggs in that basket and make everything rely on your page rank. Here we've got another question from Al. He asked, is sending newsletters good? Is it good for SEO? Sending newsletters is a great way to engage your audience, which is, again, one of those off-page SEO factors that we talked about. Really, however you engage your audience, it's going to be based on your industry and the products you're selling, but in general, sending newsletters is a great way to do that. You're building audience trust, you're constantly, not spamming people, but reminding them that you're here and here's some new, fresh information about us and what we're offering and what we're doing over here. So it does put a more personal touch to your business, and reaching out is going to increase the likelihood that someone, comes to your site and makes that purchase, and just will improve the relationship that your customers have with you. So definitely, if you can send out newsletters, that's a great thing, and that will, again, feed into this SEO factor.
So we've got another question from Rob, who is asking, is paying for a review bad? So that's kind of a loaded question, because as a consumer, I don't like the idea of somebody paying for a review, I guess that depends on if you're talking about an actual review on your website or if you're talking about a review from a blogger. So if you're paying for one on your website, I would feel kind of icky about that, but it's not necessarily going to be quote-unquote bad for your SEO. But if you're paying for a blogger to review about you, that's fine. They're probably going to put a disclaimer that says, I was paid for this review, or, they received compensation of some kind. But if you think about it, if you're sending products to them, you're kind of paying for that review by sending them products. So it's not necessarily bad, but please keep an eye out for, if you're looking pretty manipulative in that way.
So a question has just come in. What are H2 tags? And this as a follow-up to the H1 tags that we discussed. You can put H1s, H2s, all the way down to, I think
it's like H17 or
as
many as you want.
H6.
Oh, 6, just
H6.
kidding. We've never actually gone beyond like H2 or H3, so.
Right.
Yeah.
But you want to start with your H1s, and then if it makes sense, if you've got the content and you want to divide it up like that into different sections, once your H1 tag is already being used, you can then follow and use H2s for the next level of sections.
Like
and
a
then,
subheading.
Right. If you need to get down to H6s, you can do that. It's probably not going to be the case unless you have a ton of content on your page, but yes, H2 tags should be used after you've already used the H1, and you want to make sure you only have one H1 tag on each page.
Right, yeah, just one H1 and up to 2 H2s is what I would suggest. All right, let's see here. So Sean is asking, what are your tips to maximizing SEO before a page is launched? Great question, Sean. So, like we've said before, optimizing a page is, really taking the time to write title tags, meta descriptions, and content for each page. And so you can go ahead and fill those out before you launch that page. So, for example, if you have Valentine's Day specials or just specific Valentine's Day products, you can put those in a page and then go ahead and optimize that page with all the content we talked about, and then it's ready to go when it's live. So you can do that at any time before you launch a page, and I would actually suggest that you do it before you launch it, because then you're just off on the right foot.
So we've got another question here. How long does good SEO take? So SEO is a very long-term strategy, and as Adrian kind of concluded our webinar with, you're never actually going to be done. You're always going to be able to improve what you've done, improve what you're doing, create new content, cycle back and update something that you've already updated in years previous. So it's really a long-term strategy, and you can probably see results come in if you start on a given day, maybe within a few months, but again, it definitely depends on the industry and your target audience. But this is a great place where you can use that content calendar and develop a content strategy to kind of give yourself that long-term plan and really follow through with it. And as Adrian said, make it a part of your routine so that it just becomes what you're doing, and you build the best results possible in that way.
So Sherry's got a question, where can I find more resources? Which, there's a lot of information out there. So we actually have a blog on our website. It's volusion.com/ecommerce-blog. And that has, just a ton of useful information. It's just a really great place to get started on your SEO efforts. And so we haven't been able to answer all the questions today, but we're going to follow up with a blog post that you can find on that blog that I mentioned earlier, and we'll get to all your questions there.
And thank you so much for sending all your questions and for listening in today. We've really enjoyed having this webinar, and we hope that you learned something. And please, again, check into our blog post that we'll be writing as a follow-up to any questions we didn't answer. All right, that's it. Bye, guys.